All right, everyone, going to be getting into the Taco Tuesday prop bets that we should be attacking with today. And so obviously I'm not doing a live stream. Apologies, guys. Honestly, I just want to get a lift in this afternoon right after this video. So don't get too upset. My apologies. I'll try to do one next week. And with that, like, I didn't feel like there was enough props out there today for me to like go live with. Okay, it's going to be kind of a simpler video, it seems like. Real quickly, I do just want to touch on the NHL props that are out there for shots on goal. None of these are going to be locking those, but they're all kind of somewhat interesting. So we got Troy Terry under 2.5 shots on goal. And the interesting thing here is that we are seeing a big discrepancy across the sports books. Some of them have it set at minus 143, or on average it's minus 143 for the under, but the over is set at minus 104. Now, why is that significant? Well, we are seeing a discrepancy there. Anytime we're getting two negative numbers like that, I don't love it. And so, like looking at DraftKings Sportsbook, I always like to use this as kind of a default kind of make or break one just for consistency purposes. And we can see they're favoring it more at minus 125. So we can see not as good of a bet. Now in that same game, we got Oliver over 2.5 shots on goal. And on average, this one is going to be set at minus 138 for the over. And then probably my favorite one, I guess, if you will, would be Horvath over 2.5 shots on goal. Once again, this is at minus 138 for the over. Not perfect, not ideal, right? And then we'd be looking at under 2.5 shots on goal here. This one is also on average at minus 138. We can see DraftKings Sportsbook has it set at minus 135 and then also minus 135 for this one. So basically this is telling us some people have this, or some sportsbooks have it set at minus 140 instead. And then real quickly, just want to show you guys some PGA props potentially. So we got the Players Championship, which is probably my most fun tournament of the year for golf. Looking at it now, I don't love doing birdie or better matchups, guys, but that's kind of what the slate is telling us. We could do Chris Kirk, more birdies than Francesco Molinari. I would say more times than not, that is going to happen. Molinari is not exactly playing well right now, whereas Chris Kirk has been playing well. And then Tony Finau over Taylor Pendrith. I would say both of these, like around 60% of the time, they would both hit. We just need them to hit, both tomorrow. I guess it'd be on Thursday. And so that's the thing I want to call it with these. These we won't know if they cash until like Thursday night. So if that is, something that won't help you with bankroll management, obviously then don't do that. And then we could flip it around. We could do strokes. And I don't really want to touch these ones too much. The one that I like the most would actually be Terrell Hatton here, under 71.5 strokes. And he is the one player where if we look on Underdog as well, we can see that we are getting a full stroke edge on one of these sites. Now, the data says we are getting a full stroke on PrizePicks here, okay? Projected to get about 70.05 strokes. You could hedge it on Underdog, but we are saying that's going to be a pretty good bet as well. And then like Colin Morikawa, under 13 greens in regulation. This is actually one of the ones I like the most probably as well. It's just going to be difficult to hit 13 greens in regulation at this tournament, at the Players Championship. So that's not a bad bet as well. But there's a bunch where like we are definitely favoring the under. So, there's a bunch of ones that you can bet out there. Now let's get into what you guys came here for. Let's get into the NBA prop. And so for me, guys, as it sets right now, I probably am using that Terrell Hatton prop and then this next one. So the next one is going to be Draymond Green over 14.5 rebounds and assists. Okay, I like this one. I like the matchup as well. We can see projected to get over it at 15.7, but the over odds are favoring this at minus 145. This one is not going to be there for long. I probably should have started the video out with this one. And for those of you guys that don't know, like typically I'll start a video out when we are getting just like a bet that is going to disappear. And actually, let's see if it's still out there. It isn't. Oh my goodness. No. Oh no. My apologies there, guys. That's frustrating. Maybe I should have went live. My apologies. And so a lot of people have asked, hey, do you have a Discord chat? And I want to make it clear, like I do, but it is not for like selling picks or anything like that. The Discord chat is for 9 to 5 members. If there's a prop like Draymond Green out there where I know it's going to be updated and I won't have time to get out this video, I will thus post it there. It just takes a little bit longer to fire up a video and get that information out. So it's easy to do like a little screenshot, send. Oh, that's frustrating. Man, I thought we had one. I thought we had a lock and load. But that's the thing about PrizePicks, guys. Like we are battling PrizePicks. We are battling Underdog, right? Why would I sell pick, right? Now I do have this tool, but video-wise, content-wise, I'm going to try to give you guys the best picks each and every day. Now this one I still like. I kind of like Spencer Dinwiddie in general today. Okay. And so if you guys are wondering, like, obviously with DraftKings and FanDuel, yes, you are playing against people. So you do kind of need, if you have a good play, you kind of need to hold it close to the chest a little bit, which I don't like that aspect of it, but it's part of the game. Anyways, looking at Spencer Dinwiddie here, we can see he is favored to get over here. The line is set at 10.5 for rebounds and assists, projected to get over it The line saying over. And really the question for me today, and that one is still available. Yes. Okay. The question for me today is which Spencer Dinwiddie prop do we want to roll with? Because to me, this seems too low for Spencer Dinwiddie, especially given this matchup with Houston. This is a matchup that I want to be chasing. And actually, let's see. Has the over and under went up? I think it has went up slightly. I don't remember from this morning, but it isn't exactly supposed to be a blowout. So that's encouraging as well. But there's just, it seems too low for him today, given the matchup. Like I would say more times than not, he's going to get over these props in general. So like the data is kind of telling us probably should just do rebounds and assists at 10.5. And so we can see like on the season, he actually only averages 8.8, but getting a little bit extra run, with Brooklyn, we could see that being over, kind of given the matchup as well, kind of favoring the over, but definitely not a lock and load. So let's see. I don't think we're getting any lock and load bets. Like James Wiseman was questionable. Now he's projected to get over 7.5 rebounds. Okay, let's see how many minutes he's projected to get. 29, and he should be getting those minutes with everyone kind of banged up, but only 24 minutes the last two games, been in foul trouble. And so yes, it's the back end of a back-to-back, but he didn't get that much run because he got into foul trouble, because he fouled out. So maybe he does get more run in this one. In that game, he had 7 rebounds. The game before that, 9. And so if he does get an increase in minutes, I do think he'll be able to get over. So really, if you're betting this, you're betting on the minutes, you're betting on him not getting into foul trouble. But yes, if he does get 29 minutes, we can kind of easily see that he should be able to get over that. Don't get into foul trouble, Wiseman. Mitchell Robinson, points and assists, is still a decent one. I mean, that's kind of it. Like, we are getting some okay ones. Mark Williams, over rebounds, still a decent one out there. James Wiseman, just in general, we're getting some pretty good ones across the board. You could do points and assists. Fine with that. Just like if the minutes are there, if he stays out of foul trouble, he should be able to get his overs. Now, looking at the unders, this one I found very interesting. So the average sportsbook line has this set at 11.5 for rebounds and assists for SGA. It's fair in the under at minus 134, and we can see projected to get 10.4. So a pretty decent edge there. That's when you guys can roll with if you choose to do so. And I think if you're making that bet, you're also betting on that game potentially being a blowout. Okay, this is very high over and under, but with Jalen Williams out for the Thunder, I kind of feel like this spread should be higher, especially with Curry back. And then just looking at, we are getting some okay ones, but let's see if the over bets that we could potentially bet that are not matching up. Grayson Allen, you could do. Average sportsbook line has his points and rebounds set at 15. Now he's projected to get 14.11. But once again, that's not going to be including the per 36 numbers without Giannis and also Drew Holiday. Now the thing is, Chris Middleton could finally get some run. And if Chris Middleton gets some run, he is also too cheap. And so we can see here for Chris Middleton, we could do over points here. And this would probably be the bet that I would want to go with. Like, Chris Middleton's usage has already been insane. And with Drew and with Giannis off the court, his usage rate is 14.9% and averages 10 more points, and that's per 36. So the question is, how many minutes will he get? Well, let's see what the minutes we got projected to get. Actually, not that much. So that's the worry, is that he might not get that much run. And so really, if you think he's going to get 30 minutes, bet the over. Right? Very interesting. Yeah, because per 36, guys, and he's not going to get 36 minutes, but per 36, averages 32 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, 50 fantasy points, 41% usage rate. I mean, it is just crazy. And so, like, Grayson Allen honestly doesn't see a big bump in his, like, role or usage too much. About 6% bump in usage and about 7 more fantasy points per 36. Does average about 5 more points. So he has been someone that has been playing well. I don't mind over 11.5, especially if you think Chris Middleton is not going to get, a lot of minutes still, then we could be doing the overs here. And so what was the other one? You could just do points, but you also could do points and rebounds. So per 36, and I think we can see him getting, maybe a slight increase in minutes. The minutes should be around 32 as long as the game stays close. And so if that happens, he should be good. Like, his per 36 numbers are 18.5 points, 5.5 rebounds. Per 36 with Giannis and Drew off the court, about 4.4 assists as well. And he has been someone that has been kind of involved. Like, this already seems a little bit too low. Now, yes, he has been shooting the basketball well, and I would say he's due for a poor night shooting. Last time out against Orlando, they blew him out 4 for 8, and that was all 3 ball attempts. So obviously broke it there. Did have a lot of rebounds as well. I'm curious, are we getting points, rebounds, and assists for him? We are not. You could do fantasy score. Don't love that though. It seems kind of pointless to do fantasy score. Yeah, probably points for Grayson Allen. And then while we're here talking about the Bucks, like, if we knew Chris Middleton was going to get a lot of minutes, Like, this is worth a Twitter search prior to lock. And actually, I'll just do that real quick as well. I'm just looking at Underdog. This is kind of the nice part about Underdog. Nothing about Chris's minutes there. Yeah, we're seeing no reports about minutes. And so, guys, just looking at like 27, 23, 25, 17, 25, like the minutes haven't really changed. The usage is going to change though. And so it is kind of strange. Like, I did get down on Brook Lopez prior to this bump. And so probably lucky there, honestly. That was one in which, Drew was already questionable. I'm like, his fantasy point prop line is already still too low. I think it was set at like 31 at the start of the day, maybe 30.5. It has went up. But if you look at his per 36 numbers, it's 20 points, 8 rebounds, if we round up there, 2 assists, 3 blocks per 36, 22.9% usage, and 42 fantasy points per 36. So that tells us that this number is still too low for Brook. Do you want to bet that? That's the question. You could. Last game against Orlando, didn't get there. And then Bobby Portis as well. Portis has not been getting any run lately. He is projected to start. And if he's projected to start and we knew he was going to get 30 plus minutes, this would be too low for him. His per 36 numbers are crazy as well. They're 41 fantasy points per 36, averages a double-double, averages 19.7 and 14.3 rebounds per 36 with Giannis and Drew off the court, 25% usage rate. So those are both two situations in which we really need to know the minutes with Bobby and Chris. But that is a prop that would probably be too low. And then for what it's worth, I do think this prop for Bradley Beal is kind of looking a little bit too low going against Detroit. If you want to make that bet, you could. And then let's just talk about Detroit. Detroit is basically without everyone tonight. They're without Bogdanovich, they're without Alex Burks, Duren, Isaiah Stewart, and Diallo. So this sample size that we're pulling in is not going to be a big sample size. So that's the most difficult part. Like, it's not significant at all. Like, not even really worth mentioning. So let me try to find a different one. Okay, we at least have like 80 or so minutes in this. Terrible, honestly. What can you do? Let's go with Alec Burks, not out. Okay, that's better. Okay, so looking at this sample size, we're going to go Bogdanovich out, Duren out, Stewart out, and Killian Hayes out. So Alec Burks would actually be the best play if we could use that. But he's out. Okay, so crazy. And Diallo would be a pretty decent play as well. But looking at Jaden Ivey, okay, not actually the best. You look at his per 36 numbers, and the question is how many minutes is he going to get? But his per 36 numbers would be 33 fantasy points per 36 with those players off the court. So probably not playing him. And so the move, and we already saw this, would be Wiseman, but we'd probably be chasing those other ones earlier. Those other props that we saw earlier. And so looking at it as well, like Marvin Bagley was a very big disappointment in the last game. But once again, he's probably going to be forced into a ton of minutes. Like, it's tough for him and Wiseman, for that matter, not to get run in this game. It just is. Like, ended up playing 36 minutes, had a terrible first half. Okay. Was able to bounce back a little bit better in the second half. Had 3 personal fouls in the first half, 3 turnovers, and then really had a good second half. So we need to see more of that second half Marvin Bagley. But he is someone, if you look at his per 36 numbers, and if he's going to get 36 minutes, this is a high one. It's tough, but averages 45 fantasy points per 36 with those bigs off the court. And that's a pretty big sample size. We got about 200 minutes going into that. So if you want to use it, you can. It doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel sexy, but you could roll with that. Okay, so that kind of clears up the injury situations that we have going on. Let's go ahead and get back into the prop board. And so if we look at fantasy points, it's very interesting here. There's the potential where you could do a game stack actually with Houston. So Sengun is actually projected over fantasy points, and that's just as long as his minutes continue to be up. Jalen Green as well, someone where we are seeing over fantasy points could be the move. We're also seeing that for Kevin Porter Jr. So this is a very interesting one to me. Not only do I think that this game line is kind of fishy, but you could stack it very easily. Like Cameron Johnson, you could do over, okay? And he has been someone that has been producing pretty well. You could do Sengun over. That's a prop that we saw that was standing out. Maybe DFS if you wanted to, you could. Jabari Smith, I don't know if I'm touching that. But Mikal Bridges you could do. You could do Jalen Green. You do Claxton if you wanted to. That feels like we're forcing a little bit too much. And then you could also do Spencer Dinwiddie. Okay, so I never like to recommend stacks, but this one is kind of one in which I do think it's pointing to it being a kind of logical one. Like, as long as that game doesn't blow out and this over and under just went up another point, I think it should be higher. And so we're really just betting on the over and under being a little bit wrong. Thus, all these players would be able to get over their fantasy points. And so that's the thing. It seems like they're a little bit sharper here. Now, my favorite one on the day is still PJ Washington, guys, over fantasy points. Just stepped up into a much bigger role really since that Mason Plumlee trade. And I don't get why PrizePicks hasn't really adjusted for it. It's strange to me. Now, yes, the last game, He was poor, had a terrible game. That was his first game back from injury. Had an off night shooting, had a lot of turnovers, had a lot of fouls, couldn't make a bucket. And I do think that's partially due to the matchup that he had with Brooklyn. They're a good defense. They got a lot better on defense. But if we look at his per 36 numbers with Mason Plumlee off the court, which were all these ones here, when we're loading up on him, averages 35 fantasy points per 36. Okay, so not only is this one that, it's already telling us we should be betting the over, but like all the signs are saying that, prop line based off of his projected minutes. If he gets 33 minutes, he should be able to get over by a significant amount. And then if we were to add in the per 36 numbers with Mason Plumlee, that'd be another one we could roll with. Jaden McDaniels has been someone that keeps popping up. You could roll with that. Kelly Olynyk, I don't know if I really trust that. And we can see Nick Claxton projected to get over fantasy points. DFS projected to get over fantasy points. So there's kind of a path in which you could bet all the overs for the Nets and then do 2 of the Houston Rockets. These 2. It's not a terrible stack. And then for what it's worth, like, yes, Mikal Bridges, this is pulling in averages. So based off of his averages, we can see why it'd be under. Same thing for Bagley as well. These are not pulling in per 36 numbers, and obviously Bridges was just traded, so his averages haven't caught up to what he's averaging, I guess, with Brooklyn. Same thing with Jaden Ivey, although if that game blows out, I kind of think he's going to get under. So interesting one. Then real quickly, let's see if we have any first half props. And I don't like doing this. I mentioned that a ton. But sometimes we'll get more players on here. And I was seeing if we were getting any more, like maybe Isaiah Livers, he's trash, but maybe. Typically we'll get a little bit more players here, but no, not really. So by the time this video is uploaded, this one might not still be there, but we'll be getting a second one. These are the bets that I would use with it. So once again, like if we get news on the Chris Middleton or Bobby Portis situation, I do think those are good opportunities to potentially bet the over. At the same time, if we don't get that information, I don't know, that would almost suggest that they're a little bit too risky, okay? But if we get news that their minutes are going to be up a little bit more, they're kind of easy bets to me. But for now, these are the ones I'm looking at. The only worry with Grayson Allen is simply the fact that he has been efficient shooting the basketball lately. That's due to regress, okay? It's been really good shooting the 3 ball as well. PJ Washington, the question is he battling through an injury or not? Last game had a poor game, right? I would suggest that was just having time off, having a rusty game, and also a difficult matchup against Brooklyn. Looking at Spencer Dinwiddie, this just seems like a low one to me. I've been playing some really solid basketball. Just a good player, going to score a lot. If you wanted to bet this a different way, you could. It does feel like we're forcing that bet a little bit, just FYI. So if you find a different bet, you could make that one. James Wiseman over rebounds. Once again, this is just going to be looking at, can he get those minutes? Is he going to get in foul trouble? Chris Kirk, birdie or better matchup more. And then my favorite one was Terrell Hatton, less than 71.5 strokes. All right, that's all for today's video. Good luck tonight with Taco Tuesday. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.